Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. You guys know what time it is. Time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And for those of you who like these kind of videos, please remember to click the like button down below to offset those dislikes. But over to the point. Someone linked me a video that Aaron over at Alpha M did, and it was kind of a clickbait title of saying, hey, I got tips to get rid of chest and love handle fat every time. 100% works, right? But of course, Aaron gets into the video and he explains, rightly so, that this is actually impossible, that spot reduction doesn't work, and that anyone who is telling you that spot reduction works is basically a scam artist. Now, barring surgical procedures, that's the caveat we need to put in there. There's a few relatively expensive, rare bodybuilding type substances that people can inject directly into fat that seems to help a little bit with this. But I mean, you're talking about, again, probably not the safest way to go about it. And a lot of people aren't wanting to actually inject things directly into their fat. So, and again, it's not that effective. So we don't even need to go there. And then, of course, cosmetic surgeries obviously are the exception to the rule because fat can be physically and surgically removed with liposuction, things like that. Arguably, things like cool sculpting, I think there's some data showing it can help a little bit. So there's things like that, but barring something really, really, really extreme, like you can't diet, you can't rub a cream on there, there's nothing like that you can do. So he's absolutely right. So what he talked about, honestly, his video was really all over the place. Some of it was good, some of it was actually meh, and a lot of it ended up turning to be advertising for certain products that he recommends. Now, was he right in that larger amounts of muscle will displace it? Yeah, that's true. So he's like, look, if you want love handles to look smaller, without them actually decreasing yet, make your back bigger, right? He's right. He's right. Because it'll still give you that V-taper. You take someone like me who lost 100 pounds of body fat, I still have a lot of loose skin in that area that still has fat stuck to it. People need to understand that loose skin basically makes your fat look worse in a certain area. It doesn't mean that you don't have fat there, because you do. Because if you have loose skin, visibly loose skin, you still have a significant amount of fat in the area also. So when people say loose skin, well, it's not just loose skin, it's that you have fat adhering to it. But I have a really wide back from all my powerlifting and everything, and so I still have the V-taper in spite of that area still being there. He's right about that. Same thing when we talk about chest. You know, you build your chest up, and it will make chest fat seem to be smaller, but I mean, what I thought was interesting there is that it will spread it further, it will displace it. That's the best way to put it. But what I thought was interesting is I think Aaron is a little bit leaner than me. I obviously have enormous amounts of muscle more than him. Not even subject to debate. My DEXA scans alone show that. So when he grabbed his chest, I was surprised at how much skin he could pull, because I can't do that even when I relax. The amount of fat that he was able to pull away from his chest was easily 5-10 times more than I can physically do. I can only get like a little finger pull, because I tried it when he did. I reached up just to see what I could do. I'm like, wow, that was surprising to me, and it's not necessarily bragging, because I think Aaron is leaner than me. I think his body composition is leaner than mine. And I mean, I'm shirtless all the time on camera. I train without a shirt because it's so hot here in Houston where I'm at, that I train in a pair of shorts, right? So believe me, you don't want to squat in a sweaty shirt. So I think it's reasonable to assume that I think he is leaner than me, but yet he was still able to do that. So that was interesting to me, and I don't always necessarily know why that's the case. Maybe it is the fact that I have enough chest muscle to pull all that skin and everything tighter, and it's harder to pull that away. Because again, maybe he just displaces it. But is he right in the sense of you can probably make those areas look a little bit leaner by filling out with muscle? And the answer is yeah, to some extent, because again, you're going to stretch the muscle. If you have a given amount of fat over an area, think of it like a balloon, right? Think of the surface of a balloon. That rubbery surface. Well, fat is like that. It's just obviously thicker than a balloon, but if you were to inflate the balloon a little bit, it spreads it thinner. So if you have a certain amount of ounces of fat or millimeters of fat there, and you build an inch of muscle under it to push it out more, it's going to spread it a little bit thinner, right? So he's absolutely right there. You can't disagree with that. But a lot of what he said, then it kind of got funny, was that he talked about, well, you know, food quality matters. Because your diet is the number one thing. Now, is he right that diet is the number one thing? Yeah, absolutely. Diet is one of the largest, if not the single most important regulator of your total body fat. Anyone who looks at it understands that. Although when people always say the things of you can't out-train a bad diet, I'm going to say the average person with a normal job can't out-train a bad diet. Okay, people need to remember that. But that's not a true statement. That's a statement that is conditionally true, that's practically true, but I know extreme athletes who out-train a bad diet. I know extreme athletes who are pretty peeled year-round, who eat donuts and drink craft beer every single night before bed. Okay, stuff that you and I can't do. Because even I can't get away with that, and my training workloads are pretty high. I promise you I train more than the vast majority of YouTube people out there right now, even the fitness genre. My workouts are put up. I can't even get away with that. I don't train that much. But there are people who do, but it's seriously a full-time thing. And what you have with those sort of people shouldn't use them as an example of that. Why? Because these are people who have built such an enormous level of conditioning and work capacity and everything else that they have to switch to a bad diet. They didn't eat a bad diet and out-train it. These are people who switch to a bad diet because their caloric needs are so insanely high that they can't eat enough chicken and brown rice to hit their numbers without being bloated and full. They need the calorically dense processed foods just for their stomach and GI tract to comfortably hold the calories that they need to take in. Because if they even tried to do it with brown rice, I mean, I can eat 5,000 calories of brown rice, but how bloated is your stomach? How hard can you train on that? They can't. And these are people who train for hours and hours every day. So those are the exception to the rule. But again, the difference there, you would look at that and realize they're not really out training a bad diet. They had to switch to more refined and processed foods just to hit their energy numbers because of how insanely fit they are already. And it took them many years to build to that work capacity. And it's a full-time gig. For some of those people, they're literally training 30, 40 hours a week. It's like most people, it's a full-time job. But he went into all that, and then he says, okay, look, but you do need to be more physically active. I'll agree with that. But the thing that we do need to keep in mind when we talk about being physically active and targeting certain muscle groups and all this, anyone who's following Aaron who is going to train is a novice lifter. I can tell you just reasonable statistics of who watches what, me being around enough lifters. I can promise you there's not even a remote possibility that 1% of his audience is an intermediate lifter, right? Not even close, let alone an advanced lifter. All right, we don't need to worry about any sort of specialization of any type until you're at least an intermediate. I would have preferred if he just said, look, go on a big structured full body program, go on a basic strength training program. If you want to do a few curls, throw some curls in, fine to do some curls. But you need to be focusing on the big lifts, squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, rows, pull-ups, right? Get strong at all those. Get strong at those basic core lifts. And then add some conditioning work in. Because he did bring that up. Again, let's talk about cardio. So I'll say the same thing. Be more physically active. Now, what do I mean by physically active? Does that mean necessarily a bunch of cardio? Not necessarily. You could drag a sled. You could do farmer's carries. You could do GPP work like that. And that's the direction I would push most people. And yeah, that would help. You take a novice person relatively new to the gym or just who's been a gym bro goofing off, put them on a good structured strength-based program, throw in some GPP work a couple days a week, some sled drags, some weighted carries, farmer's walks, tire flips. They'll get in pretty good shape. But then he kind of said you got to be with diet. He recommended that, look, all whole foods. And then let's go back over to that point. I tend to agree with that, but it's not necessarily true. Now, where do the if it fits your macros people get it wrong? Well, the data does show that highly refined foods, we do get less thermic effect. The calories in versus out is not the same on them. And it's not due to hormones. People say, oh, you're trying to give a hormone hypothesis. No, I'm not. I'm not. I am telling you that in terms of thermic effect and calorie output of oats or brown rice versus table sugar do not have the same calories out on the calories out equation. There's a different thermic effect. There's a different amount of energy put into breaking these things down. So even if the caloric intake is the same for those carbs, It's different on the output side. So he's right to some extent. Is it necessary? No. Will it make your job easier? Yeah. Because if you're eating foods that are slightly more filling, that require more energy output to process and digest and utilize them, well, that balances your energy equation better. He's right to some extent. So the thing is, I thought was fascinating though, is that he comes over to, here's what I snack on, and he has all these really expensive, these organic type frozen snacks. All these, look, I snack too, and I'll agree, people need to snack smarter. But are we talking about body recomposition, or is he talking about staving off hunger? Because at a certain threshold, sure, we can eat more vegetables and more micronutrient dense food. And believe me, guys, I'm all about veggies. I eat half a pound to a pound or more of vegetables every single day. Okay, no problem for me there. Is that bowl your best snack? No. Here's what I will say. If you're chasing body composition, rapid body composition change, just protein. What do I snack on? Steak, meat, all right? I have baked chicken or cooked chicken sitting in the fridge at all times. If I need a quick snack, I'll go grab a chicken breast or a chicken thigh, because I don't really do a low-fat diet. I'll grab that and munch on it. How about some Greek yogurt? And the Greek yogurt can match whatever your dietary needs are. It could be the low-fat, fat-free. It could be the full-fat. I tend to do a lot of the full-fat because, again, I do a keto-type diet. But the point is high-protein snacks, right? That's what I eat. Or I cook a steak. Go chop off a 4 or 5 ounce chunk of steak in your fridge, throw it on the grill, make a quick rare steak, eat that for a snack. Eat a piece of chicken, eat some Greek yogurt, right? That is a better snack. That's the direction I would push people. I wouldn't push these little silly bowls he's doing. I'm saying, look, if you're trying to change your body composition and your training, eat protein for snacks. Eat protein for snacks. That's fine. You don't need a whole meal. Eat something with a lot of protein. Make sure your snack is at least 50% protein calories. That's my solution for snacking. And again, it works. It works well, and it works towards people's body composition goals. The other thing he pointed out, though, and I will say he got this right, is where he ended the video, and he's like, look, guys, here's the other thing. If you think it's going to be a quick fix or a fast process, you've also been deceived. That when you start talking about legitimate changes in performance, body composition, your physique, body fat, any of these things, look, if you're talking about any sort of a lasting change, that's a lifestyle thing. It's not I'm going to take a pill, I'm going to do this 30-day challenge, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to see these dramatic results. That is not the real world. That's not reality. Right? I mean, and the same thing, if someone comes to me even throwing their money at me wanting coaching, and by the way, I don't have slots open right now, they want coaching or they want strength coaching, anyone who would come to me and say, hey, I want to see these phenomenal results, what can you do in 30 days? And it's like, you need to be asking me, what can we do in a year? Because 30-day challenges are a scam. They're a hustle. There is no lasting, amazing change you're going to make in 30 days. It's just not going to happen. But what can you do in a year? You can do a lot in a year. But that's the direction we need to be thinking of. Minimum changes need to be 12-week blocks, 6-month blocks, 1-year blocks. You know, lasting changes. And it takes someone like Aaron, and this is where Aaron and I, what we would have in common there, even though he comes from a bodybuilding type background and I come from a strength sports background, we're both lifers. Right? We understand that these are lifestyles. They're lifestyles. They really are. There's no quick fixes. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.